Loss to the hapless Raiders Sunday raised a lot of questions, especially after Mike Tomlin kept a banged-up Big Ben on the sidelines for most of the second half in a one-possession game. Today, Steelers insider Ed Bouchette reports that Tomlin kept Ben out because they were waiting for a painkiller to kick in, and Tomlin blamed it on an outdated x-ray machine while trying to make sense of the decision.
Because of the lack of information, we thought that the best thing to do, the most prudent thing to do, would to be only to make Ben available in an emergency-like situation was exactly what we did in Cincinnati several years ago because of lack of information. Obviously, he's got to be a willing participant in that. The doctors have got to get to a level of comfort, but acknowledging that level of comfort is including a lack of clarity in some instances because the x-ray was not clearly readable.
Can you clarify when you said after the game that you could have brought Ben back a few series earlier, but you said today that you were only going to use him in emergency situations? Is that saying he was cleared a few series earlier and you decided only to use him in emergency situations?
Again, guys, you know, we didn't have a lot of information, so dialogue was a part of the discussion. Really, guys, I've tried to be as transparent as I can be. I'm not going to get into any more of the minutia. I know you guys got a job to do. I wanted to be as completely transparent as I could. I was not interested in discussing it after the game because I'm not a comfort seeker. I don't want to blame others. I don't care about the equipment, the speed in which the thing transpired, whether or not we were able to read it. You know, that was the same equipment for both teams, et cetera, et cetera. So I said very little after the game. But obviously this thing has had legs and it has grown, and we want to minimize the senseless distractions. So I'm being very transparent with you in terms of what transpired, how, and why.
1,000% buy it. 1,000%. It makes perfect sense. I felt like listening to that, and Tomlin's key words to me was willing participant, Ben Roethlisberger. What he's saying there is like, Ben and I talked, and we all said, we're not playing you unless it's an emergency because the information's not good. Yeah. The painkillers haven't kicked in. We don't want to put you in jeopardy unless we absolutely have to. Ben was on board with this. Ben's post-game comments out of line.
Tomlin sold me, and I'm glad he brought that clarity. I think that it got legs because people were trying to write the story to fill in the blanks because he left a lot of blanks out there, in part to protect the Oakland Raiders and their facilities and also the NFL at large. Now, let's rewind time. When I was a San Diego Charger, we had to play the Oakland Raiders every single year up in Oakland. The worst stadium by far in the NFL. We would get on the field.
Bad food in the press box, too, myself.
They had the bad snacks. Dude, we get on the field, we're like, all right, we played on the whole baseball season, infield still, so that wasn't a problem. But even the grass had them little ghetto nuggets. You know, them little brown things with the thorns on them? Like Jesse Owens Park like nuggets. I was like, this is bad grass. Then you walk into the stadium. You know what I'm talking about. You walking into your locker room, you have to duck. Literally duck. You might not. You're not 6 feet. Me, duck. Just to get in the locker room. And then it's concrete ceilings. I was like, locker room looked like high school wood. I'm like, this is the worst. They're trying to steal our spirit. When you tell me that the x-ray machine is not readable, duh, it's Oakland's Coliseum. It's the worst facility. So I think Tomlin jumped on some landmines, some grenades for the NFL.
Ben
came back to bite him.
Yeah, I buy his explanation. I just wish he would have said, I don't have enough information, and I'll get you that information when it comes to me. And then Ben, this is the issue. It's not what Tomlin did or didn't say. It's what Ben Roethlisberger says, because it's not on brand or, to you, like you say all the time, on script with what your head coach is now conveyed. And every team has the same protocol when it comes to press conferences. When your coach goes first, your PR team comes and lets you know and informs you on what coach has disclosed and what he has conveyed. Yeah. You then have the option to either go with that or to go against the grain. And that's what Ben Roethlisberger has proven to do year in and year out, which is why we always are sitting up here having these conversations about Ben and Tomlin.
Let's be clear. Ben, after the game, said he was basically waiting on Tomlin to put him back in. That was throwing Tomlin under the bus. I also want to be crystal clear, just because we're in today's society, you got three brothers up here defending Mike Tomlin. Anybody that's watched this show knows I don't defend Mike Tomlin all the time. I'm very critical of Mike Tomlin from time to time because I think he's immature and he does some things that I don't like. In this case here, and this has been my narrative for the past 2 or 3 weeks, Big Ben is a bad leader. And Big Ben had a chance to protect his coach, and he didn't do it after the game. Now, today on his radio show, he's right on message with the coach. But Big Ben is a constant irritant. Big Ben is constantly trolling his head coach and anybody else, and Todd Haley, the offensive coordinator, whoever else he doesn't like. Big Ben tries to focus the attention on him and put a clown suit on everybody else. That's why Tomlin's up here having to re-explain this and go into great detail because Ben threw him under the bus.
Hey, you're on to something. And we talked about this, but it was in short. But let's extend that conversation where Ben Roethlisberger is living in a false reality where we've seen some of the symptoms of a guy who may think everything is kosher around him, but in reality, not everybody is on Big Ben's page. A lot of people don't fool with Big Ben in real life, but they fool with him in football life because you need to make sure you take care of the big fish. But what's happening is...
Snakes on a plane.
What's starting to happen is, look, I told you before, look, Le'Veon and not even responding to Ben Roethlisberger reaching out. Antonio Brown felt a very certain way about him calling him out. But you got to, Ben is still in the oxygen in the room. The only circumstance I can see like this is... and this is no shot at Kobe Bryant, but Kobe Bryant's last years, a lot of people were like, I don't want to say how I truly feel because I can't disrespect his greatness and how he is viewed in this organization. But in reality, a lot of people weren't clamoring to Kobe, and a lot of people are not on page with Roethlisberger. This is just the latest case.
I just want to reiterate again. Yeah. Anybody that's followed my narrative for years, I'm a Big Ben fan. Been claiming him as my favorite player from the Mid-American Conference, wears number 7 like John Elway, plays like Elway. But at some point, you just got to deal with the reality of who Big Ben is. I defended the dude even when he was in his darkest days and being criticized. You can go resurface my tweets from back then. I defended the dude. The guy, I defended his right to have a second chance. Didn't defend him in those allegations. Right. Big Ben fan. He's out of line. He's a drama king. Coming up, we've seen some players.